everybody, welcome back to my channel. Yes, it is that girl Samantha, and yes, I am back with another YouTube video. Now before we get into this video, I'm back from the dead. Your girl is back. I am happy to be back. I'm very happy to be making YouTube videos again and just being back in the headspace of, you know, doing this. Come in, grab a chair, sit down, grab a snack, grab a drink, clink clink. Oh, I'm not a rapper. Sorry, I just had to do that. I will be coming out with an upload schedule, and I may post it like in the little description box below when I post this video, just to let you know when I will be posting new videos. But I do know that I will only be posting twice a week. Honestly, not really tech savvy, so it takes me a minute to learn some things, and that's okay. I'm taking my time. I'm learning. I'm progressing. And also, push that post notification bell button, because now since I have an upload schedule, you guys will know when I post, so y'all can hurry up and skedaddle over here and watch the videos that I'm doing, and we can all just talk and have a good safe space and have opinions and talk and do all that stuff that we want to do. So yes, turn that on. Also, like this video, share this video, and without further ado, let's get right into the review. Now, if you haven't already watched Pixar's Turning Red, then you need to go watch it. I'm just gonna disclaimer, there's not gonna be any spoilers. I really want people to watch this movie. The video is not gonna be too long. It's gonna be easy, digestible, and then you can get out and go back to the world. Now, this movie is a coming of age story about a Canadian 13-year-old Chinese woman, Chinese girl, who basically is dealing with her family, her mother in particular, and also, you know, the 13-year-old school life, which leads her to kind of have this red panda. Now, I'm not going to go over the whole thing of why the panda exists, because that's going to be spoiling the movie, but I think it was awesome having this red panda kind of represent her overwhelmingness of emotions, kind of being a representation of puberty, if you would like. I mean, it could be a representation of whatever you feel, because I feel like you can really insert yourself into this movie, unlike what other people think. Really feel like you can insert yourself into this movie where you can kind of pick and choose of what you want to relate to, and I think that's amazing. One of the other amazing things about this movie is the friend group that Mei Mei, the main character, has. You have Miriam, Abby, and Priya, who are amazing. They're very much giving the it girls, like, especially on social media. If you had a Tumblr, those would be the Tumblr it girls. Also, I very much love the animation, the music in the movie. It's very upbeat. It makes you smile just by little things. Like the little background music, the score was so cute to me. I love how everything was animated in this big, bubbly, bright way, kind of in the perspective of a 13-year-old around that time. Also, I love how realistic the younger kids were. A lot of the times when movies or any type of animated movies have children as the main characters, it really comes off forced, and it feels like a lot of the time the execs or the people directing or writing these movies have never spoke to a child ever in their life, and this really felt as though they really had some type of aspect where they asked children or even people before then who had these experiences their opinions on these experiences, and they took them into consideration within this movie, which I appreciate, because it feels so natural watching this. It feels so welcoming watching this movie. It feels like an open armed hug. Like, yes, I needed this. And I watched this movie with my 11-year-old sister, and honestly, we both had a great time. I probably understood more references than her, especially to like early 2000s things. I probably understood more references than her, but we both had a good time. Love Mei Mei's aunties, grandma. They are the real material girls. They're the real material girls. Before there was a Saucy Santana, it was the aunties. Other things that I like in this movie, if you are into boy bands, honestly, you may not have been captured by the Four Town group, but I was captured. I was very much captured by it. Gave much nostalgia of boy band groups, especially when I was younger as well. I mostly was into like B2K, not really NSYNC or anything like that, but it still gave that same kind of feel, and I love that they were added into it and it felt so authentic. They genuinely feel like an actual boy band group that has been around, that are well known, and I think that's why a lot of people are gravitating to that boy band group specifically, is because it felt authentic. It didn't feel like this shoehorned in kind of joke like, hey, remember back in the early 2000s they had a lot of boy bands? No, Disney really made this an actual boy band group, which I enjoy and I love. Things that I didn't like that the fact that the daddy didn't have more screen time. I really liked him. I felt like he was a standout character, and the fact that he should have more screen time is something that I don't like. I want him more in the movie, but that was okay because when he was on the screen, I was happy. I was vibing. He's the best dad, the best husband. We give him his flowers now. Now let's talk about the controversies that people are having about this movie. First controversy I want to talk about is the fact that some people feel as though this movie is inappropriate for younger kids, which is very weird because the main character is literally a 13-year-old. But in my opinion, I don't feel like the movie is inappropriate for younger kids. Like I said before, I did watch this movie with my 11-year-old sister, and it was never a time where I was like, okay, this is kind of getting weird. Never a time. I felt like it was very appropriate, and I mean, it broke things down. This stuff happens. Puberty happens. You get into fights with your parents. That happened. And I feel like a lot of people, what they wanted Disney to do is shelter them. Like, well, this is not Disney that we had years ago. This is not the Little Mermaid Disney or the Beauty and the Beast Disney. This is a Disney that is grown up and is trying to grow up. Specifically Pixar, that is trying to grow up with the kids. So why make this movie all fairy tales and flowers when this is set in a realistic setting? I mean, yeah, the plot points and the progression of it may not be realistic with the whole red panda scenario, but this is, and this could be, a real little girl who has these real life problems. And I don't know why people kind of want to shelter their kids from that. I feel like we should have more movies like this for kids. If I had a movie like this when I was 13 and it goes over puberty and kind of the pressures of, you know, trying to live up to your family's expectations, I probably would have been a completely different person. A lot of the times people get emotionally stunted. A lot of people act the same way they did when they were 15 because they never really had any guidance of what to do around that time. They were kind of sheltered, so they kind of had to learn everything on their own, or if they don't learn everything on their own, they're stunted at that point. And I think this movie does a great job digesting this for children so they'll be able to kind of understand this. And the fact that people are saying, oh, well, 5 minutes in, 10 minutes in, I turned it off. Literally, the 10-minute mark is nowhere going over the story or any of the inappropriate parts that they're talking about. Girls have crushes, boys have crushes. I don't know why people are trying to make it seem like kids are just, there's nothing in the cranium, there's nothing in the medulla oblongata, there's nothing there. I don't know why people act like their kids are just dumb and they get awareness when they turn 18. That's just the weirdest thing ever. And I feel like when you're stunting your kids like that, once they do get the age of where they're 18 or they get into high school, they start hiding shit from you, or they don't feel like they can be comfortable enough to tell you things. That's why you have to watch the movie. It literally talks about that. And I mean, people are more than welcome to have their opinion. I don't really understand that. And I feel like if you haven't watched the movie all the way through, you really can't have an opinion about it. You didn't even watch it. It's controversy that's happened about this movie. It's this whole review that happened by this reviewer that will not be named because I'm not giving that man no clout. He started that to get some type of clout, clearly, because his points did not make any sense. Now, this man went ahead and made a whole article reviewing this movie and basically stated that he did not see himself in the movie and it was exhausting, and he felt like this movie was only aimed towards the director's family and friends, which is very offensive, because just because you're not a Canadian 13-year-old Chinese girl does not mean you can't relate to this movie in some certain aspect. There's other things that you can relate to. Like I said, having crushes, going through puberty, trying to hold in emotions, also being embarrassed by your parents, trying to live up to your parents' expectations, finding your own path. I don't know why people feel as though representation or relatability has to be thrown in your face for you to feel something. That just doesn't happen. For example, the movie Encanto I watched. I'm not Hispanic at all. I'm not Colombian. I don't know the family dynamics of a Hispanic family, but I did see that it related a lot to the family that I have. So I could relate to certain aspects of it. And you don't have to see yourself in everything you watch. Yes, representation is amazing. Into the Spider-Verse with Miles Morales, that a lot of black boys, Afro-Latino boys could relate to it because now they're seeing themselves as a superhero. But there's probably other things in that movie that other people who are not black, who are not Latino, that could relate to. And I feel like the fact that people want to sacrifice a good story for representation is crazy to me. Because then you get movies like Madea. And let's just be real. You get movies like Madea. You sacrifice a story for representation. Let's just be real. Let's just throw it out there. Let's just throw it out there. You get movies like Madea, and I'm glad that Chinese, Canadian people, Chinese, American people, Chinese people in general, Asian people in general, had a representation in this movie. I'm glad. I'm happy. And I'm glad that I was able to relate in some sort of aspect in this movie as well, because I feel like this movie is definitely universal. I do think that Turning Red is definitely an amazing movie. If I gave it a score, I would give it a score of 9 out of 10. Why didn't I give it a 10 out of 10? Because I don't feel like there's no perfect movie. There's probably things, if I watched it over again, that I probably would have been like, they could have done a better job at that. But I definitely feel that it's a very amazing movie. Pixar again knocks it out of the park. We've had movies like Soul and Luca who've also held up their own, and Turning Red is just now entered into the Pixar family of great movies. Again, I didn't want to spoil anything because I genuinely want people to watch it, and it is on Disney Plus. You don't have to go into the theaters or anything like that. I think this is definitely a movie where you can sit down with younger kids or your friends and just laugh, have a good time. Without further ado, if you have some opinions on Turning Red as well, you can leave those opinions down in the comments below, and we can talk about what we liked, what we didn't like, other perspectives, what you related to, what you didn't relate it to. We can talk about those things. We can have a good time. Also before I leave, please like, comment, and subscribe. Also turn your post notifications on so you know every time I post. But I ain't got nothing to say anymore. I'm kind of tired too. So you guys have a great night, morning, afternoon, and thank you so much for watching this video.